What's up, everybody? It is Thursday night. That means it's Fantasy and Frames draft show night. I'm your host, Stacey Perez. Guys, we got a full house here with us. We're doing a Scott Fishbowl mock draft. Everybody buckle up. Let's go. I see Jorge still hasn't changed our pictures on the intro music yet.
As much as I love looking at Rich every time in that intro.
Right.
What a good-looking group of people.
Much better looking in person than our screenshots there would lead you to believe. Guys, everybody, welcome. Welcome to the show. We're going to be doing a Scott Fishbowl mock draft. As promised, we have got some very special guests here hanging out with us tonight. I want to say hello to our special guest and introduce him first. Guys, we got Bob Harris over here. He is football diehard, guys. Football guy, Sirius XM. Bob, how are you doing tonight?
I'm seeing we're going with age before beauty here. So excellent choice by you. Yes, I'm doing fantastic. Happy to see everyone. This will be my first exploration of the Scott Fish format this year. And I'm looking forward to looking very silly.
I just realized I was like, all of our guests have glasses. So it's like a little guess who here. If I said like,
well, we are fantasy and frames, Stacey, so that's not that surprising. Come on.
Mine are fake. I just went the fantasy and frames thing.
That's part of the bit. That's why I have them on. Is because like, what are we doing?
Dig up some glasses for next week. All right, guys. So our second guest, you guys know him from the deep end, is a full-time fantasy analyst, Mr. Adam Krautwurst. What's up, sir? How you doing?
Good evening, ma'am. I am very excited, and I'm hoping somebody will run through the new Scott Fishbowl stuff for this year, because I got to be honest, I'm an old school Fishbowl guy, so I don't know how up to date I am with all the new stuff.
Well, thank God for cheat sheets, because that is what I'm working with tonight.
I text you, Stacey, just for that reason, because I was like, what is the format here tonight?
I don't know who put this little cheat sheet together, but thank you to whoever did that. I will be reading off of it tonight. And our next guest, guys, the Joey Wright. Guys, Joey, Football Guys, Front Yard of Fantasy, one of the most fun game shows for fantasy football. I have a blast with you guys. You guys are so much fun. Joey, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm glad to be here with all these wonderful people tonight and Bob Harris. So let's have fun and draft. And yeah. I can say that to Bob because I love him so much.
As do we all. All right, guys. So drafting with us off camera, I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody else who joined in, who's hanging out with us and drafting tonight. We got Drew Scott, Fantasy and Frames. He is on Fourth and Frames. Justin Taylor, also another one of our Fantasy and Frames family members. We've got Ann Dunn. She is a multi-year Scott Fishbowl draft. She is in the chat. As is Miss Bonnie. She is a analyst and editor with Fantasy Pros and a Club Fantasy, Women of Fantasy Football. Guys, Miss Angie Hatfield, also multi-year Scott Fishbowl drafter. And Kim, you know her online as Hottie Toddy 43. She's been drafting in Scott Fishbowl since 2011. I'm pretty sure all of that crew is in the chat with us tonight. So thanks for joining us. Angie, thank you for bypassing the treadmill this week and joining us with our draft, putting, fun before health. I love it. Guys, so let me ask you this. Do you want me to go through the scoring format first before we jump in and I hit the start button for our draft? What do you think?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. I was mainly asking.
Stacey.
Yeah. Huh?
I would just say set the stage.
Set the stage. Let me tell the story here. All right, guys. So Scott Fishbowl this year, super flex format, tight end premium, and you get an extra point for tight end first downs. You get a full point PPR for wide receivers, half point PPR for quarterbacks, kickers. I'm not sure how that works, and running backs. You do get points for first downs and rush attempts. If you draft a kicker, you get 3.3 points per extra point, and you also get a point per field goal yard. I hope I'm saying that right. If you do your special teams, you get 10 points per touchdown return, and 1 point per 5 yards return. Then there's 6 flex spots. So there's a lot that you can do with this team. I'm really curious to see what everybody's teams look like. We're going to do a 15-round mock draft. Guys, are we ready to go? Should I hit start on this bad boy?
Please do.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait any longer.
All right, Rich, I hope you're ready because you're up.
Oh yeah, I was ready. As long
I'm
as my
doing
app actually works
app.
this time. I've been having issues where the app does not actually start when it's time to start. Oh, it's time to start.
It did ask me. It said, "Are you sure you want to start this?" I wasn't quite
Right.
ready for that button to go.
And there's a reason I went 101, and that's because I am so excited to finally be able to draft Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's Adam. That's your boy. That's Josh Allen is your guy. Oh, you're on the clock now.
Yep.
Yeah, Adam is a Buffalo Bills fanatic over here.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. I can't even get my guy at the 102. I mean, what the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
Don't worry, you can still get Khalil Shakur. Pretty
Shakur. You got it.
Shakur, yeah, Shakir. How do you say it? Shakur.
Shakur sounds cooler. Definitely.
I like it. Yeah.
So Adam, being a Bills fan, do you know as far as like returning, who's going to be the returner for the Bills? Do you know anything about? Do you have any insight?
No, but you know what? I'll get back to you in the next 10 minutes. How's that sound?
All right, sounds good.
That sounds.
I'm looking here at the screen. I should probably put that on our stage here. Here we go, so everybody can see who's drafting. I just want to shout out to Drew real quick here. His avatar, it looks like is Morgan Freeman giving the bird. I don't know if you guys can see that. But pretty fantastic. I don't know where you found that picture, Drew, but nice job.
Joey, is Shakur not the villain in No Country for Old Men? What am I thinking here? Who am I drafting?
Antoine Shakur. I don't know if it's that Shakur. He's not like Tupac's brother or anything. It's Antoine. I can never always remember his last name. Say it correctly. Where's my cue? There it is.
So yes, on the Bills website has Shakur as the kick and punt returner right now. So
Oh no, I don't like hearing that because that's my breakout Bills wide receiver. And usually, if you're in that kick punt return role, that means they're not going to pepper you with targets. So
No, but he's going to be awesome for Scott Fishbowl because I tell you what, those returners are going to be awesome for Scott Fishbowl.
That's what I was just looking. So 10 points per TD return. So second round Khalil over here for you.
right, value.
So is this a third round reversal like the usual Scott Fish, or are we changing that?
I did not see third round reversal. Let me look at the
Oh dear.
Did I set it? It's not right. Kevin, do you know?
Can you explain to people
be
like
an
myself
option
that don't know what that means? What does third round reversal mean?
So
Third round reversal. Go ahead.
So third round reversal is kind of almost exactly kind of what it says. So you get to the third round. It's normally like a snake draft, right? So you go through 12 and then you turn around 12 to 1. And then instead of the number one guy getting, back-to-back picks, it's going to go right back to number 12. And then it's going to continue as a snake draft after that.
Okay.
Well, I think it is third round reversal. My strategy is going to work not as well without it. I'm pretty sure.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I think you can
that's
still change the settings,
on
can't you?
me.
It's no worries.
So I wonder if I can change the settings.
We're gonna find out in real
I
time.
doubt it during.
Hopefully,
would
it's
doubt
it.
yeah,
Me
who
too.
knows?
You could probably pause it and then change it.
Third round reversal
Oh,
time.
wow.
Touchdown.
Just
Cheers.
impressive stuff, Stacy.
You know?
Good job.
Here we
Refresh.
go.
The ones and
Yep.
twos.
That. Got it. All right. So there
Arrows
we
are
go.
moving.
There we go. So okay, guys. So third round reversal. So now that you know what that is, I'm glad that Bob, you brought that up because otherwise I would.
And if
not-
you don't know, now you know.
exactly, if you don't know, now you know.
So
It's
we've
a
got 7 of the 12 teams have taken a quarterback and a super flex. Not a big surprise. I want to give big props to my man Bob Harris for being the smartest guy in the room and realizing this is going to be a monster Travis Kelce year. All the just question marks at wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs has me thinking that Kelce is going to have that monster breakout year, the first year that people are actually questioning, is he the number one tight end? I've seen a lot of people taking McBride. I know Stacy's taking Laporta in every draft that we've done as the first tight end. And I really do. I think that Kelsey's going to have a monster year. If you look what he did in the playoffs last year, he's just a steady hand. And I know probably a lot of people like myself were burned last year. And I think that's allowing you to get him at a little bit better of a value this year than obviously in previous, where it was getting up to in standard leagues. I mean, he was like the 5th, 6th guy off the board in some drafts.
Oh, yeah. Bob, I love what you did here with Kelsey and Trey McBride.
Yeah, the tight end scoring is super spiked, and much like the returners, and we're going to see those go early. And quarterbacks, as Scott would say, nerfed a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. I already regret the not taking Mark Andrews, but I'll probably get over it. Come on, Trey McBride, be the real thing.
There goes. So we've got 5 tight ends off the board so far with Kelsey McBride, Laporta, Andrews. Joey sniped Kincaid from you, Adam. How do you feel about that?
I know Kincaid is definitely my guy this year. I do like him, but Kincaid's one of those guys. He could finish his tight end 1, or he could finish his tight end 5. And I feel like all of them are like that this season.
I just want to say I had a pretty good conversation with Ryan O'Halloran, who covers the Bills for the Buffalo News, and he had a really interesting point. That basically Kincaid is going to be huge. He's going to probably lead the team in catches and targets, but also the touchdowns are going to be a little bit of an issue because he works the middle of the field. He's not the guy in the corner of the end zone or whatever. So to get up to that 9 touchdowns or whatever we're going to want is going to be interesting to see if he gets there. He doesn't think it's like outside the range of possible outcomes, but he does think that that's going to be the real test for Kincaid.
Plus,
who do we think is going
to anywhere either?
That's what I was going to ask. Who's the pass catcher that you think is going to get those touchdowns? I know we got Coleman, the rookie. You got Shakir. They brought in Samuel. Obviously, we know they run a lot with, James Cook. Allen's a touchdown vulture. Who would you think is the guy that's going to be the receiver that has the best chance to lead the team in touchdowns, with Diggs leaving such a vacuum, and touchdown receptions in Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's going to be the touchdown guy will be Keon Coleman. I mean, Gabe Davis was the big, his touchdowns per, catch, per route run there was really good. And I think Coleman's better than Gabe Davis. So I think he'll be that touchdown guy. But they're really going to spread the ball around, to be honest with you.
Does it feel like they're kind of copying what the Chiefs did when they lost Tyreek Hill, where it's like, okay, we may not be quite as explosive and dynamic, but we're going to be so much more efficient. That's going to help our defense. We're going to turn the ball over less, really put pressure on a defense by, a lot of 6-7 yard plays. I loved what their offense did in the second half of the season. And to me, it feels like that's what they're, shifting to. And people forget that Chiefs offense was equally, like, from a fantasy perspective, as good as they were, in the explosive days with Tyreek Hill. It's just the drives were a lot longer, and it's just a little different way of getting there.
Completely agree with the Chiefs analogy. Yep.
I really hate that you guys made me draft Bijan Robinson, by the way. I just want to make that abundantly clear. Yeah.
I really hated that you drafted him. I was ready to take him myself. So.
I didn't do it. I loved it. I absolutely loved that poor Kevin had to take a running back in the second round.
And an Atlanta Falcon, which is even worse. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Like I call my local elector, stop the steal, Kevin.
Bob, you were grabbing those tight ends. Now you went with Ingram. I love this.
Oh, I am killing me.
This is so fun.
I mean, it's the clear advantage in this scoring system. I mean, they're just off the chart high end. So, I'll take my chance at quarterback. I might have liked Jordan Love at that spot, but we'll see how it comes around.
Yeah, I mean, Love and Williams going in the 3rd so far. There goes my boy Amon-Ra St. Brown. Good job, Kimberly. Getting a little sun god on your team. That's always a good idea.
He's going to be featured on the new Netflix series.
I know. I don't know that I can wait that long to see. What is that, like July 11th or something it comes out?
So is it basically the QB show, but just for wide receivers?
Receivers, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. Because it was like him, Justin Jefferson,
Debo, Kittle.
Debo. Oh, that's awesome.
And Devontae Adams.
Oh my gosh. And Devontae Adams. Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
I'll be binging that just like we're binging Bridgerton right now.
So 9 tight ends off the board. And what is that? 4, 6, 10 quarterbacks. So that is just, again, to show how the scoring matters. Even in a super flex, we've actually had one more tight end taken than quarterback, through the first, 33 picks.
Yeah, exactly. this is a question kind of for the group. Like with this kind of like a bonus that you get for rushing, it's like 0.25 per rush attempt. So that could either be, like with your running backs, with your quarterbacks. Does this kind of bump up any particular player or like maybe group of players for anybody? Like give them a little bit more of an edge?
The strict passing quarterbacks are nerfed down. Like you'll be seeing quarterbacks in the super flex. Obviously, you'd be seeing a bunch of them by now if it were normal scoring, especially with the yardage. But now we've seen what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 11 quarterbacks in 36 picks. Like that's just not normal. That we're definitely seeing. We're going to see the Staffords, the Rodgers, that kind of tier go way down, way further than they should in this particular format.
So, Rich, you were going with the returner there, I'm assuming, with the Shaheed pick.
Yep.
You're gonna be really bummed when Taysom Hill starts returning ticks.
No, that's the thing is with this, like, I'm really wondering how much information we're going to have as far as who the starters are going to be for the returners, because like Shaheed right now is a top pick. Like he's a top 27 pick in this, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So getting him at the end of the third round, I was really excited about getting him. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see, is he actually going to be a returner? Like there's so many question marks in the air when it comes to the returners. We don't know who's going to be where. So.
Or how it's going to work, for that matter, because with the rule change, you could tell me that, somebody's going to have 5, kickoff returns for touchdowns this year. You could tell me that it ends up we see less. Like, who knows? And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see. This is the rare opportunity that teams have a chance to get a significant leg up on the competition if they can figure out the kick returns, both on the offense and, defensive side of the ball. There's always those good coaching staffs that they do. Like Bill Belichick was always great about this, at just finding those little edges. And, it could be weeks before other teams kind of figure out what's going on. And I think it will end up, determining some games.
What?
The Jane Daniels? Yeah. I was waiting for it. I love it. Jorge's smiling somewhere too. So
your boy Brock Bowers.
I didn't think he'd make it, but damn it, Joey.
Even I don't really care about bye weeks. I think it's a myth. At some point you do have to worry about it.
You're speaking my language, Joey. I love it.
Stroud has a week 14. Daniels has a week 14. I know that's fishbowl playoffs, but I'm gonna ride him until that happens. You got to get to the playoffs to win the championship. No.
Joey, can you talk about like the structure of the playoffs for the fishbowl?
I could if I would have looked at what they're like. I know in past years because it might have changed. I believe it's week 12 they start, and it's kind of like a 50% chop every week. That's how it was in previous years. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone on the screen.
So are you saying that means like half the field is basically eliminated, and then each week same thing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And then I think Scott usually backs off on that because he's too generous and Scott's so nice. So then he'll be like, okay, only 30% gets cut this week.
Yeah, I've got it up here. It's 2,000. Yeah, no problem. 2,000 teams in week 12, down to 1,500 in week 13, down to 1,000, cuts another 500, then another 500 in week 15, cut that in half in week 16, and then it's a 50-team final in week 17.
Nice. Do we know how many invites go out total?
Not yet, no. They broke the record again, though, right?
I want to say it's like around 3,000. He mentioned the other day.
It's TBD on the site, but I would assume probably around there. Well, no, probably like if they're doing 2,000 in the playoffs, I would assume probably at least 4,000 or 5,000.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild.
Great.
Very cool. All right, Bob, if you're going to go for a 4-peat here, you're on the clock. So I guess we're going to find out here. Oh, no. Kyrie Williams. Nice.
No, he moves like a tight end.
Steal.
He ran the combine like a tight end.
Kyrie Williams.
I'm looking for the carries and hoping for the best. Obviously, down the stretch last year, those 25 touches a game would have been very nice. If I can duplicate that this year, I'd be very happy because we know that Sean McVay never takes sharp turns at running back, said Cam Akers.
If that dude can make a
if you
sharp
are
turn
the
anymore,
guy,
you'd be mad at that.
I was gonna say, but if you are the guy, which I think Kyron Williams is going to get every opportunity to be, and these Rams offense, you're on the field all the time. So I think it's and I'm not as worried about Blake Corum as a lot of people are. I think that if you look at like Todd Gurley, had 3-4 year stretch where he was this explosive back that they really used a ton, and with how effective Kyron Williams was, I've said it again on the show every week that when Stafford, Kupp, Puka, and Kyron Williams on the field, the most efficient offense in the NFL and the most efficient one in the last 14 years. So I think that Rams offense is going to be really good, and Corum's more of just kind of an insurance plan backup, maybe, so he doesn't get so many carries and wear down because he missed a few games last year.
Yeah. Bob Skippers loves your Kyron Williams pick there.
That's who I got it from. I know Scamper's approach, and I'm very fond of it.
I love that Bonnie grabbed Jake Ferguson here in the 5th round. I can't believe that he lasted that long.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good value.
Yeah, absolutely. Erica, I wanted to talk to you about Justin Herbert real quick because you got him in the 4th round here. I feel like he's really undervalued.
I mean, agreed. I feel like he actually has potential to be a very good quarterback this year. He really has no one to throw to, so I honestly
Hey,
think he's gonna...
Oh, how dare
Lad Fruit
you?
over here takes a lot of offense to that, Erica.
I know you are in love with your player, but I mean, he really has no one to throw to. So I think he's going to run more than he usually does.
Ooh.
So I think even in this format, he could be better at value.
Yeah, I just think he's getting tremendously slept on. But Keith, you saw some Lab McConkey news though this week, didn't you?
Well, I mean, just they were speaking glowingly about him, which I'm like, come on, you're late to the party. I've been speaking glowingly about him for months now. So I am excited for Lad. I thought it was a great landing spot. And I'm just fascinated to see what the Chargers do in general, because I think we all agree Justin Herbert is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. And unfortunately, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen just could not stay healthy consistently.
Yeah.
And I like the coaching change. I think Harbaugh is legit one of the best coaches in football. And, we'll get to see. Sometimes the names don't necessarily matter if these QBs are truly great. And I think that with Herbert, we're going to find out that whoever's out there, whether it's Palmer, it's McConkey, he's going to, make a fantasy relevant wide receiver out of one or two of them.
I love it. I want to talk about Kim's team real quick because I just noticed what she's doing here. So she went Hill, Burrow, Amon-Ra, Waddle, and then Tua there to go with her with Hill and Waddle. Do you guys? I mean, we talk about stacking and everything so much, like in best ball, and this is not like a best ball. This is you're going to have to manage this. But do we still think something like putting together a team like where you're purposely going after guys on the same team, like how important is that? Does anybody have like strong feelings one way or another?
I think that this is basically a huge tournament, right? So I mean, I'm not against it in this. Number one, I can assure you nobody remembers who doesn't win because nobody remembers me. And so you're kind of shooting for the you're taking big swings here. So I do think it's acceptable. Like as a general rule of thumb in redraft leagues or regular leagues, I'm more about pairing than stacking. I think it's more of a DFS thing, but in a big tournament like this, I think it's fine.
Yeah, especially considering who it was too, with Hill, Waddle, and Tua, you're consolidating 50% of the Miami's targets. So I think with that, you could also do that with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Like, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, if you're going to be stacking up like the Chargers, where it's question marks all around.
Or when Drew takes Kirk Cousins here in a few minutes to go with Pitts in London, that kind of deal. So we're several, weeks into the best ball mania and just starting to do a lot of drafts. And I kind of want to go with each of our guests, and we'll start with Joey. What's like the one guy you've been targeting over and over again, or that you're higher on or really expect big things from this season?
In the Scott Fishbowl format?
No, just fantasy in general. Because I mean, we're doing all these
fantasy in
different
general?
drafts. Yeah, kind of like your guy right now. You're planting your flag on.
Just name a lion. I went to the well last year with
Khalif
Lion
Raymond.
offense. Honestly, it's not
He's gone though, right?
Yeah. No, I love
No, he's
Goff.
there.
I love where he's going in single quarterback redraft. I think Jared Goff's the perfect quarterback to wait on. I love pairing him with Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels is flying up draft boards now. So I was getting Jaden Daniels like 15 and then Goff around 16. And I was like, oh, that's the perfect combo. But like Amon St. Brown, I think he has a wide receiver 1 upside. So yeah, like I said, name a line.
Are you a Jameson Williams like breakout year guy or no?
I mean, it's his 3rd year. Can he do it?
Yeah,
wide
I hope
receiver
so.
breakout.
I like him a lot, man.
The only line I have anything negative to say about would be Sam Laporta, and not his play.
I told you, Stacey. I told you.
His value has gone up so high. He's going like end of the 1st round, beginning of the 2nd, and
there's a lot of targets you're fighting for, right? Like between Gibbs and St. Brown, if Williams season up, like that's what I've been saying is I think Laporta's a stud, but unless he catches all those touchdowns again, I don't think he's going to see as many targets or receptions as he, potentially had last year. Adam, is there a guy that you're really into at this point? We're a few months into this stuff.
Yeah, a guy that I can take every chance I get. I can't get him a lot because his ADP is pretty high. But Garrett Wilson, I'm big into. He went for 1,000 yards with the worst quarterback we've ever seen in the history of football. So I'm backing on him, and then a guy that I really like to just blindly take is Trey Benson. Just banking on James Conner just being old and kind of run down. And maybe Benson can come on in the second half of the year and just be that league winner.
Should be a sneaky good offense. I think most people agree that Arizona's offense should be really good this year. Bob, do you have a guy that you're all in on this year? Or
I am a hammer and Anthony Richardson is my nail. And when I don't get Richardson, I'll wait a little while and get Jaden Daniels. I'm looking for that lottery pick kind of upside. And I think both of them have it. There's obviously drawbacks, but the good news is you can mitigate the risk at quarterback so easily in a regular league that it's almost like you're not taking a chance.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Richardson just in that striking offense. And I think having Taylor, hopefully they won't run him quite as much as they did, last year, which they were kind of freakish injury. I just mean in the sense that he was, if you look at it, like it was like goal line to goal situations, I think on both of the times that he actually got injured early in the season. And maybe if Taylor was there, they wouldn't have had him running there. Well, Bob just ruined any chance of Drew getting that Cousins London.
Only because Eric took off. Otherwise, he would have still had a chance.
You guys are getting such value at quarterback here. I mean, Eric, you get Herbert there, and then you go, a couple rounds later in the 6th and take Goff. Like, I love that. I love those 2 picks. That's great. Good job.
Absolutely.
One thing I think is going to be interesting about these Scott Fishbowl builds this year is how we only have to start one position per player, one player per position. So we only need to start one running back. We only need to start one wide receiver. And then the rest of it is all flexes. And then we do have one super flex. But it's going to be interesting, like somebody like Kevin, who's been 0 RB, beating that drum for so many years. Like, is Kevin just going to take one running back and that's it for the whole fishbowl?
Spoiler alert.
He could do that.
He already took
I was going to say, after taking Bijan, that probably went up considerably.
That's exactly how you do it. Like,
we're minus 500 on that.
Anchor it,
Yeah.
I love a good hero RB. There goes my hero.
I'm still here.
Oh man. So JT was really hoping Fire Muth. I call him Patty Fries, JT, would get back to him this round, but with the tight end picks here. Adam,
who's better for Freiermuth, do you think? Is it that a Fields or Wilson? Like, who do you think, which quarterback there is better for? Because they both, have been known to throw to tight ends.
Yeah, Adam, how do you feel about Freiermuth there? Because I feel like that's a really good value getting him the 6th round.
Yeah, I like Freiermuth, the guy I've been kind of relying on if I miss on some of the top guys, and I play in a lot of tight end premium leagues. So I think he's their wide receiver 2 this year as far as like the pass catchers. And they got Arthur Smith there, who's a complete donkey, but he loves throwing to the tight end, whether it's the second string or the third string, sometimes the starter. So, but yeah, I'm kind of relying on Freiermuth kind of having that breakout season.
So, are you saying that in the last round we should go get Darnell Washington?
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
Get ready to learn Michael Pruitt, buddy.
Yes,
yeah, right.
That's the other one. I couldn't think of his last name.
Guys, it's still too raw for me. Okay, we had Kyle Pitts, and we're throwing to Pruitt. We're throwing to Janu Smith. Let's just say sunny days are here again in Atlanta. At least on the coaching side, at front office, that's a whole nother ball game. But I am excited to see a Falcons offense that doesn't look like something that's straight out of the 1970s.
I think I don't want to jinx it, Keith, but I feel like you're going to have like a lot to be excited about in Atlanta because it certainly ain't our Braves. That's for sure.
Yeah. Bring back the Jerry Glanville run and shoot.
Right? Mad Moon Rising.
Right.
Great times, man.
Bob, I think that Baker pick really upset Ann over here.
My work here is done. I call it a night.
Oh my goodness. Cousins and Baker, and you waited in a super flex, and like I love that because you were still, even though you waited, you were still able to go get two guys that are going to be part of really good offenses.
And stack Baker with Evans, who I will never. I said this. I think it was either last year or the year before. Ever doubt Mike Evans again, because year after year I pass on him and think this is the year that he won't catch 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, and that's basically all he does. And I thought Baker looked great last year. And of the teams in the NFC South, it's Tampa Bay that I'm most worried about for my Atlanta Falcons, trying to win one of the easier divisions in football.
I'd be most worried about Arthur Blank, but that's just me.
Well, touche. And not to mention, I hope Kirk Cousins is okay. It scares me a little. Like that's the Penix part. Is like, Penix
will be there in the last round for me.
So flinging it right.
He's dealing with a pretty big bruise right now. From what I heard, his ego is pretty bruised right now.
I mean, guys, Baker
healed up.
I was just gonna look. I was looking at some numbers. Baker put up 16 points per game last season.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
good, man.
Nothing to see. That's like top 10. I'm looking at if we're looking at PPR. Yeah, absolutely.
And my only fear is that the coordinator going to the Panthers to be the head coach. Like,
so that was a little bit of concern. But Lean Cohen is the guy that kind of was there when Baker landed in LA and worked with him, and so I mean, at least there's still the connection. So. I mean, that's fingers crossed on that one. But again, talking to the people in Tampa, I know some of you are there, but talking to like the guy, Pewter Report, Scott Reynolds, he just says there's no sign of Evans slowing. It's kind of like the Kelsey thing. I mean, they're slowing, but you don't see much sign of it during games. And I don't think we'll see it this year either. And I think that bodes well for Baker.
And their size is such a big factor of that. Is like both of those guys are athletic, but they're just also big targets. And the other thing about Kelsey that is, to me, I think he's going to be good longer than most players, is he's so good at just finding the zone. Like it's not even anymore that he's, beating guys one-on-one. He just is so good at finding that open and, space, right. Whether it's sitting down or, turn. We were talking about Garrett Wilson, and I love Rich's pick there with Terry McLaurin. A lot of the same things where if you look at the quarterbacks, the schmucks that poor Terry McLaurin has had his 5 years in the NFL, he's had 1,000 yards the last 4 years. He had 900 yards his first year. And I think no matter what you think of Jayden Daniels, he is by far the best quarterback that he's played with. And what I'm excited about is Jayden Daniels can actually push the ball down the field, which is something McLaurin has excelled at when he's had a quarterback that could actually throw the ball a little far. So I'm really high on Terry McLaurin this year, and I love that pick, Rich.
I do too. I mean, from everything that I'm seeing online, I mean, take that with a grain of salt, right? But it looks like Terry McLaurin and Jayden Daniels are really kind of connecting and really just getting, on the same page. So that's really encouraging.
Dotson to a degree too, who's another guy that I didn't really like coming out of college. I thought he was impressive his first year. I know last year was a mess, but again, the quarterback situation was not great. And I'm excited for Washington. I think Daniels has got a chance to be a really good QB, and I like the pieces they got with Robinson. Like they have a lot of interesting weapons on offense.
I'm still a Dotson believer, and I'm happy to take him at how far he's fallen these days. Hey guys, we have a question in the chat here. Tootsie Pop, that is Rachel out there. What's up, Rach? She says that she never knows when or how much attention to pay to buys and drafts. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, this in the show, but how much weight are you guys giving that at all? I mean, I think it really probably comes into more play with your quarterbacks, but what do you guys think?
Personally, I like to
Uh-oh.
Oh, Rich
freezes.
froze.
Pros.
The bye week pros got
have
him.
one.
They did.
If I can, I like to. Oh, am I back?
You're back. You're back.
Halfway there. There he is. Yes.
There we go.
Big
All right.
bye week is trying to silence the man.
The deep state's going after my boy Rich. I don't like that. Go ahead, Rich.
Right. No, I was just gonna say, as far as like if I can line it up where I have most of my starters on bye weeks the same week, like let me win every other week, and I will throw that one away.
I like that.
I'd rather
Bob,
have a
you're a
championship
sick
than
man, by the way, for taking
record.
Taysom Hill.
Well, the additional roles, maybe, they're working with fullback in the back.
I can't have any fun around here.
I don't know. He's trying to leverage the scoring system a little bit here, kids.
Bob's like, he'll be the New Orleans quarterback by like week 7. So it's pretty brilliant on my part. The Matthew Stafford pick by Joey too. Again, I know he's old, but man, like that Rams offense was so good last year when all those guys were healthy. And I am somebody that I think this Rams offense is going to be electric. Puka was the real deal, especially if, say, Kupp can be 85, 90% of, what he was 2 years ago. Now you got Kupp and, Puka with those backs. And Stafford can still find. We saw Demarcus Robinson kind of emerge last year as a good number 3 option. I just think that's stealing, and I see it over and over again in these best ball drafts as well, that you can get Stafford so late in these things. And he's a real, in my opinion, value QB.
Demarcus Robinson's one of my favorite late round values this season because we see what he can be as a wide receiver 3. What was it? Down the stretch, the last 4 games of the season, he averaged over 13 points a game.
Yep.
And then if something happens to Cooper Kupp again, or God forbid Puka, he just slots right in there. Like, I don't understand why he's not going much, much sooner than he is right now.
Oh, yeah.
They went away from Tutu Atwell in the middle of the season to Demarcus Robinson. They traded Ben Skoranek to the Texans, so it's as wide open as it gets for Demarcus Robinson to just be a sneak. He could be a sneaky 100 target guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey guys, so Andrea in the chat has a question about the Giants tight end. She wants to know, what do we think about the Giant tight end since Darren Waller is now retired? I pulled up their depth chart. So they've got.
Let's call Joe Matz. He'll know. He's got the Giant tight end depth chart in his heart. Big Giants fan. It's going to be rough. Go ahead, read them off because I know these names, Stacey. I looked it up the other day.
Theo Johnson, so a rookie. Jack Stoll, Chris Manhertz, Lawrence Cager, and Tyree Jackson. So it sounds like they've got a lot of not much, is what
Bellinger had shown flashes, is what Joe's told me. Like they don't think he's absolute dead weight. If I remember, he had a really nasty injury.
He had that eye injury.
He had that crazy eye injury where it broke his orbital bone or something.
So we know he's tough. He's got that going for him. But I just, the one thing about teams like the Giants is somebody's got to catch passes. And unless you think their defense is going to be good, which I personally don't, they're going to be down and throwing. And in fantasy, those garbage points count just as much as, any other. And there's a lot of opportunity with Saquon gone for, a ton of different Giants pass catchers to kind of emerge as fantasy relevant guys this year.
Yeah. My one worry about the Giants is its neighbors and the rest. Like it could just be a glut of like 5 or 6 guys between who they have. Wandale and Slayton, always hangs around.
Jalen
Hyatt, those tight ends, Devin Singletary. I mean, those guys could all have like 50 to 60 targets. Like, honestly, it could be like neighbors and who it doesn't matter after that.
Do you think the Waller retirement, though, bumps neighbors up even more, like in your wide receiver rankings for this year?
I don't know if it really maybe like a spot if that, but I don't think it really moves the needle that much as far as like his upside. We know he's got it. Nothing really changes with that. It's not like he can go up a couple spots. Like it doesn't really change it. It's all going to come down to Daniel Jones. And, if he's, if the Giants are out of it, it's probably not going to be Daniel Jones because he's got the same kind of contract as, Russell Wilson did in Denver where, the injury guarantee.
Right. I feel like Neighbors is the guy that I'm going to have an awful lot of. Like, and I feel like this is a similar circumstance with, I was all in on Jahmyr Gibbs last year for the reason being the draft capital invested in him. He was going 3 rounds later than the other guy that went with that draft capital. And if we were drafting Bijan Robinson for all these reasons, why not draft Gibbs? I feel the same about Marvin Harrison and Neighbors. I think we're drafting Harrison, and I'm not against it. I'll have shares, but we're drafting him at a ceiling as like wide receiver 9. I'll just wait around at the wide receiver 20, 3 or 4 rounds later and grab Malik Neighbors. And we know, Adam Thielen would like us to know playing with the worst quarterback in the league in a horrible offense does not keep you from being wide receiver 18 even when you're old and slow. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to have a lot more of that. I'm going to have more Neighbors than Harrison for sure.
Let me ask you guys this. What quarterback who is right now not the starter or not expected to be the starter would you want, or you're trying to target in these super flexes because you think whether injury, performance, whatever, they're eventually going to kind of wrangle the starting job?
And this one, Penix.
There's definitely Penix.
How dare you, Bob? At least it would make the draft pick work it, so I'd be okay with that. Can I interest in you guys?
Like totally worth it. Y'all just dogging the Falcons like they don't know what the hell they're doing when they absolutely know what they're doing. They had them at the top of their board. I get it. They just paid a lot of money. I think it was let me ask you this, Keith. If they had made the trade to get Latu in the first round, would you be as worked up about this as you are now? I mean, I don't think it's
because they would have had a defensive player. We have not addressed the defense, Bob, basically in my lifetime. And we've had all these top 10 picks. And, I still believe games are won on the offensive and defensive line. And we ain't taking a tackle. We ain't taking a pass rusher. Like, it's just to me.
Forgive me for not being a fan of your team, but I'm a fan of fantasy. And so if I'm going to invest in Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, I would much rather have a quarterback capable of propelling their fantasy fortunes if something happens to Kirk Cousins than you having a pass rusher. So suck it, Keith.
No, I mean, if I'm going glass half full, I've said before that they watched Taylor Heineke, they watched Desmond Ridder, they watched Marcus Mariota the last 2 years,
I know,
and they were like, never again. Well, that's what I'm saying. They said never again. Not only are we going to sign Cousins,
it's painful,
we're
man.
Sure we got a backup.
Just be glad you're not a Cowboys fan, man. Come on.
Touche. But I would never be a Cowboys fan. Come on, they're the worst. Sorry, Erica.
I know it's true.
So what about Sam Howell, Justin Fields, those guys? Are any of those guys intriguing to you this year? Do you think they'll end up maybe being the starter by the end of the year?
If Geno keeps his backslide, I think Howell's definitely in play.
Yeah. I'm going to give a really deep name, and maybe I'm just trying to will it into existence. But I don't think Derek Carr, if he starts off like he did last year in New Orleans, it might be Spencer Rattler time. They might kick the tires to see what they got. And
Bob already got the backup.
What'd you say?
Bob already got the State's backup.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see if New Orleans is as bad as they think. If they're going to put Haener out there, but I think Rattler could be a starting quarterback in this league.
If we get points for Handsome, I'm taking Haener.
Oh my gosh, yes. Can we just talk about that photo shoot? That will live in infamy. That thing is amazing.
Love it.
Stacy's got it as her screensaver on her phone right now.
It's the funniest thing. Just that somebody had, the gall just to do that. I love it. Good job, Jake Haener. Kevin, do you know that this is super flex and you only have one QB?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I was just checking.
Super flex, you don't have to put a quarterback in.
Well, that's
quarterbacks are really devalued by the scoring this year.
Well, I mean, with the tight end scoring, right? You could argue if you had 2 stud tight ends, you would probably rather start them over 2 quarterbacks anyway, right? Or
I think there's an argument to be made for that. Absolutely. Guys, so we're coming around the 10th, going into the 11th. I want to hear some Scott Fishbowl draft stories. Does anybody have any good ones? Maybe the first time that you did a live draft, or how long you've been drafting?
I would really like to tell everyone about my first successful Scott Fishbowl draft, and as soon as I have one, I'll let you all know.
Oh, that was a nice setup.
So I go to the live one in Buffalo every year. I think we've done it 2 or 3 years now. And I'm a big Bills fan, and they got Thurman Thomas to show up the first year to that event. And I got to meet him growing up. He was like my favorite player in the whole wide world. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, dang.
Oklahoma State fan
awesome.
here, whatever.
That's awesome.
This side. Yeah.
That's right.
Thurman Thomas.
So I mean, he was right after Barry Sanders for Oklahoma State. Wow.
Right before
Same
Barry.
year. They were
before
like,
Oh, he was before.
Barry
Okay.
Sanders was the backup to Thurman Thomas.
Wow. What a backfield.
Fantastic.
I think my favorite thing about Fishbowl, my first live Fishbowl draft was in Orlando, is like you get to meet people that you didn't know before and just watch a community grow. And I walked into the Fishbowl and I knew quite a few people there. But there was this girl there that I had never met her before. She had reached out to me like the week before and said, "Hey, I'm in your division." And I was like, "Okay, nice to meet you." Found out she's a huge Atlanta Braves fan. And I met Stacy at my very first live Fishbowl draft. So I love going to these live events and meeting people that you would never, probably wouldn't meet them if you went to a bar. You would just probably, But you're all in this one area celebrating fantasy football and community, building it. And like I met Stacy that day.
That's awesome.
That's a friendship I have now. So go to your live Fishbowl drafts within your area.
Love the live drafts. It's been that's been such a good time the last couple of years that I've been doing it. And the people you meet are great. The competition is great. I just can't say enough good about it.
Well, I said she was nice. I didn't say she was competition.
Oh,
I was about to just Venmo you over for that, but I'm taking that back.
Well, when she takes Sam Laporta with the first pick overall, I mean, I know you would. Oh, Stacy, I know. She is seriously. We've been doing the draft show now for a couple of months, and Stacy, any chance that we can get Sam Laporta? Basically, if there's not, what have we decided the position is when the person gets to be the decider or whatever? That's been the only way we have not drafted Laporta.
That has been, except for last week when we bullied Erica into letting us.
You bullied Erica into it.
It was good value. It was great value where we took him.
Thank you, Erica. It was great value where we took him, Keith. And I'm just going to continue victory lapping Laporta because that is like my one, that makes up for me being such a Marvin Mims fan last year. So I will victory lap on Laporta as long as my short little legs can run around the corner. So
it reminds me of the expo. We do the panel to open the thing every year, the big panel. Andy Behrens was just standing so hard for Sam Laporta at that damn thing. What a monstrous, hey, my Gibbs call was pretty good, but I'm just saying the Laporta thing. I mean, the Gibbs a little more predictable for me, but the Laporta was off the chart good, and Andy was like just all in from well before the start of the season. Loved it.
We're the Laporta people. We had it that year. That is going to be my one victory that I'm going to hang on to. Charlene in the chat, live drafts are the best. Live drafts are the best. Like Joey said, that was my first live draft was in Orlando that year. And I didn't know anybody at all. And Joey, obviously so nice. I'm so glad I met you. Just made me feel so welcome and got to meet a bunch of other people as well. Zach from Fantasy Frame, shout out. I know you're in the chat earlier.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And I mean, making those connections and everything. So a year later, that's how I ended up being able to join Fantasy and Frames. Was connecting with the people that I had met at the Orlando live draft. So, and then every year, we've gotten to do those, again, and they're just so much fun.
And Kevin's patience paid off. Stacy, by the way, getting that guy Gardner, who really high on this year. I like Gardner in Vegas with all those weapons. I think that the Raiders' offense is going to be sneaky good.
Oh yeah, Adam, I see you got our boy Tupac's brother.
Hopefully, not the same fate as Tupac.
No kidding, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, seriously.
He's still alive, right?
Well, unless you, I was gonna say, unless you believe he's on an
Yeah,
island
he's
somewhere
in Cuba or
drinking
something.
daiquiris. Yeah.
Yep.
TikTok is absolutely still alive. Scampers says he met Bob at the live draft there.
It's true.
And yeah, and Bill over here went to
like the LA, the first one I went to at LA, there were so many just super cool people that I never met before. Kelly Singh, all the people at Trophy Smack were fantastic there, but definitely Scampers and Dame, just like a like truly great time. And Thomas Everett Scott was there, and oh wow, Liz Lowe's, all my old friends, Lindsay Rhodes. I mean, it was just like it was like walking into a gathering. John Paulson was there, just people that I've known for a long time. Loved it. The Dallas one was more people that I did not know, but it was equally joyous. Just like met so many cool people, including Erica. I mean, it's just it's and Brian Quinlan, the street free agent there out on Twitter. Y'all know him, like he's like part of the brewery that does it. He's much larger than his avatar. I'm just going to say that. Many of you are. I'm surprised by that. Your avatars are very small. You're quite large, human forms. But yeah, it's just a great time.
Oh, look at we got Mauricio over here in the chat. I saw him in here earlier. Hola, Mauricio. I'm doing Duolingo to learn some Spanish, so hopefully, you guys, I can try out my Spanish on you guys at the expo this year.
Hola, mi amigo.
Perfect.
Mauricio.
Mauricio and Hema.
Who's Rowdy?
I feel like my focus
Rowdy
on tight ends
is
is totally costing me kick returners here. I'm really blowing this.
Bob, I feel like you set the tone for the draft. I really do, because I've done quite a few Scott Fishbowl mocks, and I have never seen so many tight ends go so fast. You've really set the tone.
I mean, I just don't know. You know, I mean, like tight ends are going to be the league winners. I mean, the position
I don't think
stands
it's bad.
out. It stands out. And kick returners.
He's a trendsetter, so I mean, this should not surprise us. But
I
do love it, and he got plenty of QBs too, which is what I think is interesting. Is he waited and was still able to get, you know, we know at least two starters, potentially three.
Again, nobody's, you know, speaking from experience, nobody remembers who loses this thing, right? And so I'm going to take a bolder approach than I have in the past, because I have great experience in losing these things. And a lot of times I think it's because I don't take chances and I don't try to leverage the scoring system.
You're going Ricky Bobby on us. If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right.
That's it.
I'm glad I'm not in your division, Bob.
Nobody remember who lose. I remember I've lost a lot.
I've lost them all.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you've lost without running backs, Kevin, which is most important. So,
I mean,
what divisions are you guys in this year?
Jack Skellington.
Rich should have been in mine, but he was a coward.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I jumped.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I didn't know any of the Dallas divisions. I had to Google them.
I didn't either.
Yeah. I'm in a Varsity Blues Dallas division. I've never seen it. I've never seen it before.
Me either.
I know.
There goes my hero. I don't want your life. That's a great movie. You really never seen it, Erica?
No, never seen it.
I guess I forget it. Movie's like 30 years old now, but you know, it's Dawson. Dawson as the QB. I mean, you can't beat it.
They scanned my cat. They said I could play.
Oh, look at this. Kimberly over here. She came in 21st over here in the SFB last year.
I would pay money to come in 21st.
That's listen, same over
You've
here.
tried, and they've said no, Bob. We don't accept that.
That's exactly true. I donate extra. I try to pay Scott on the side. None of it works.
Hey, Bob's in the same division as Stephanie Miller, so you know she's a shark. Yeah,
yeah.
You're gonna have a tough time with that one.
I'm doomed.
I have a grievance to air. I want to air it here on the show. I made all the names for all the Scott Fishbowl divisions. Like I made all of them, and then they went with different names. So I mean,
wow, you did all that.
So I mean,
no, they used like 90% of them, and then the others 10%.
I do feel like the movie thing is your brand, and that you're not more prominently featured in all of this is really surprising to me, Joey. And I'm sure you're a little hurt by it. I'm a little hurt for you. I don't know how are you coping?
I was Bob and the whole team were like, "Hey, Joey, can you come up with some division names based on movie characters?" And I was like, I mean, I guess. And so I had like 2 weeks of just having an absolute blast of making conferences with divisions. And then they ended up just taking names and plopping them in instead of doing conferences.
God, I took a secchi. Somewhere Mike Fiel is going to come beat my tail in. Come ridicule me, Mike. I meant to take Jonnu Smith. I feel ruined because Sanders went right ahead of me and it slipped. My mouse didn't move and my player did.
I was like, who hasn't taken Jonnu Smith yet? Why is he still on the board?
He was totally my next pick.
So is it safe to
say nobody's listening?
She said, I got it. I got it.
Yes,
I'll fall on that grenade.
So with the scoring format for QBs, is that like the reason we obviously saw Jones and Levis go before a guy like Aaron Rodgers? Is that just because of the rushing?
Yeah, rushing quarterbacks get quite a boost on this.
Okay.
Because the passing yards are only worth, it's 1 point for every 50 instead of a normal 25 points. So you're going to see passing yards really not worth a whole lot, where we have these running quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying he's going to be the first rookie 1,000-yard rusher, but 800 yards, I don't think that's out of the question for him.
I really would. I thought about taking Daniels with my third pick on the reversal. I thought it's too early. He might make it back to me, and I got greedy and paid the price. Happy to have the tight ends. But those are the decisions you make in these kind of drafts.
Right.
Where, like, I do think if you're playing, the lottery tickets, buy the $1 million lottery ticket, the big prize lottery ticket. I think Daniels is that. I mean, and we can think back to Cliff Kingsbury, whatever we think of him as a head coach. We can think of what he did with
fantasy QBs. Yeah,
right. Kyler Murray in his first 2 seasons fared really well, including I think a QB2 finish his second year. So there's something to be said for that. So I'm still a little irritated, Joey.
No, don't be irritated. The more I look into him, I love Jaden Daniels.
Me too.
I missed really hard on CJ Stroud because of the landing spot last year, where I saw all these great things about Stroud, and I was like, but he's on the Texans. Not really a fan of all those wide receivers.
Erica only sniped you because I screwed up.
Joey, don't feel bad. I was on the record saying not only was, the Stroud, not going to work, but the Texans were dumb for making the trade for Anderson. I didn't like anything they did because I thought for sure they'd have another bad season. That ended up being a really valuable, pick in a loaded draft class. And I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. They're just unbelievable. So, is anybody worried about, because I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, CJ Stroud having a little bit of a regression because he's kind of like with Laporta. The hype is so high and everything went so right that first year. Obviously, they're going to have a much tougher schedule, having one of the, easier strength schedules from the previous season. Is anybody worried about him regressing slightly? Because I am, because he just had such a perfect season.
Okay, I'll take slight. And he'll still pay off, right? I mean,
right. No. I get that. I just meant because, he keeps
I think this is another case where, you look at some of the obstacles he overcame last year, learning a new scheme. He's going to be in his second year in the scheme. Bobby Slowick, whatever you think of the San Francisco offense, it seems to, if the quarterback can run it right, it works out pretty well. So he played with what, 3/5 of his offensive line hurt to open the season last year. They've upgraded the running back position. They've upgraded the wide receiver position. I don't know. I think it's entirely possible because it was such a great season, but it would not be my anticipated outcome.
Keeping Bobby Slowick, I think, is the biggest piece of the puzzle for CJ Stroud in year 2. Like, we see these, up and coming OCs immediately get head coaching jobs, and one of the most important things for a young quarterback is continuity, especially with play caller, especially with offensive coordinator. So getting him back, I see no reason why he can't. I mean, he set the bar very high. I don't think there's any reason why we should believe he can't get back up to the bar. I don't think there's a lot of room to clear it, but getting to the bar is perfectly fine here.
Which wide receiver do you guys like? If you had to take one Texans wide receiver, who do you think is the guy out of the 3?
The cheapest.
Dell.
Dell is it.
That's where I am just in general.
Value Dell talent, I think it's Nico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that going to work out with Diggs, though? Because that's the other thing that I worry about, just seeing him go to the Texans. We know how he's somebody that when he's not getting the ball, he makes it very clear. And I do worry a little bit just about like the chemistry. You have this great young QB who spread it around. Schultz, I mean, everybody basically feasted in that offense. could that end up being an issue if he's quote unquote, not targeted as much as say Nico or Tank Dell?
Ooh, can I take this one, Keith? Because I
of
did
course
some research on that whole group right there.
Mm-hmm.
So while those numbers are still in my head, so I don't think it's going to be a problem, and this is why, because I think there's going to be plenty of targets to go around. Because if you kind of look at Robert Woods and Noah Brown, there's like 130 targets between the two of those guys. Those are going to be the guys who get left out in the cold over there, and I think
Woods is probably getting cut. Honestly,
yeah, Robert Woods is 32 years old, and Noah Brown, like, I'm sorry, I know that you just had like a really great year for you. You still only had like 500 yards. Okay,
he won me a bunch of money in DFS though a couple of weeks, so he's got a special place in my heart for sure.
I'm sure he's a very.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so I really don't think there's going to be that much of an issue with having enough to go around. I think they can absolutely support 3 fantasy relevant people, and then maybe Dalton Schultz.
Probably Schultz, right, is the guy that might, because he had obviously a big.
He's going to have to be 2020 Robert Tonyan to hit value. He's going to have to do it all in touchdowns.
Big Bob Tonyan. Good memories. Making his tour around the NFC North.
And then Diggs is basically in a contract year. If he wants to be not on the Carolina Panthers next year, he better just close his mouth and just produce.
Oh, guys, we are coming into the 15th round, last round of our mock draft tonight. We got our first special teams here off I think it's our first special teams defense here off the board. Going to Bonnie over here, taking the Tennessee Titans. Guys, is this the time where you're starting to look at those kickers and look at the special teams like towards the end of the draft, like you normally would probably in a redraft?
Do you have to draft actually in the draft a defensive kicker, or can you pick them up later?
I don't think
no defense. That's only because she autoed because she said she was going to be.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Bonnie did have to go. She had another draft starting at 10. So her last 2 picks were going to be auto draft. But it just kind of made me wonder about that. Is this the point where you would kind of start looking at if you were going to take? If you were,
I think this is the point where I'm trying to make a point here, and I might have gone kicker here if I wasn't trying to make the point that I want to get some return players in here. And Gibson, I think, is a great. There's a number of them, and I think you're taking your chances to some degree with returners because I think there's going to be some changes, but I think there are some that I feel are safe picks. Gibson, Shaheed might be one of them. Gibson would be one. Kane Nangwu seems like one as well. There are a number of them, but I might have taken a kicker here if I was really drafting.
Yeah. We've got 4 kickers now off the board with Tucker, Butker, McPherson, and now
at 3.3 is on extra points is fantastic.
Yeah.
I did want to throw out. I'm using. I'll be honest. I'm using a little bit of a cheat sheet right now, just for a couple of my picks. But John Byronchenko, I believe, is his at. He has a cheat sheet that he took Mike Clay's projections and converted them. Yeah, and he converted them to the Scott Fishbowl scoring for this year.
Cool.
And there are 3 kickers in the top 50.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you share that?
you gotta go through him to get it.
So I'm assuming that means
DM. Send him a DM. I saw his tweet. If you send him a DM, I didn't do it because I didn't want to have one for this draft. I wanted to go totally naked. My first one, but I do think it's probably a good idea to look at some of that. And but yeah, I think just like I've been doing it in the eliminators, and I've had a lot of success just really trying to leverage the scoring system more than trying to, I think there's always that, friction, even in these odd leagues, to build a traditional lineup. That's always in your mind. You feel like that's where you should go, when really that's not where you should go. And it's worked out well for me in the eliminator. So I'm going to try and, leverage that in the Scott Fish Bowl this year. Take that, Scott Fish.
I'm going to say I think you crushed it in this mock, at least, with going with the rules that they have and everything with the tight ends. Like, crushed it. I really like your draft.
Yeah, I think this was a great draft. We got a request to put this board in online. So Rachel, we see that, and I will definitely take a screenshot of it, get it up there for you.
Stacey, you want to have all the people that drafted just quickly kind of go through their team and do a little maybe 2-3 minute summary of their draft?
Yeah, let's do that real quick and then we'll wrap because I know it's getting late. I want to get everybody out so we can go finish our Bridgerton binging if we haven't done so already.
And
Rich,
The Boys, which is on Amazon. Yeah.
I mean, listen, everybody, Bridgerton's
I'm a big
everybody.
Bridgerton fan. I just haven't caught up yet.
Exactly. I'm just gonna go down the row right here. Rich, hit us up first. What do you think of your team?
So I started out with Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley. I tried to go after that rushing upside, and then I grabbed Rashid Shaheed because I think that he will be the top punt returner. Then Travis Etienne again going for that rushing, and then I started finally grabbing some tight ends. I'm actually really excited to get Hawkinson as late as I did. I know he's not going to be ready by the start of the year, but I think that he's going to be great down the stretch, especially come the playoffs. I got Dalton Schultz to help prepare for his TJ Hawkinson's not being ready by the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
McLaurin, Marvin Mims, again, another returner. Trying to grab as many returners as I can. I was actually kind of sad when I saw Shakir go. That was a great pick. And then I grabbed James Connors, Aaron Rodgers, JJ McCarthy as my backup quarterbacks, Nick Chubb, Zach Ertz, who I think will have a good start to the year. And then my couple kickers, Tucker and Zerline, which Greg the Leg Zerline does not get enough love. Just throwing that out there.
It's true.
Adam, how do you feel about your team coming into the 2 spot?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I mean, anytime in Superflex, I can get 2 top 8 quarterbacks. I'm okay with that, and Dak could go a little bit higher here too. I was also happy to get 3 of my top 15 tight ends. Wow. Considering I didn't take my third, I took the third one in the 7th round, so I was happy with that, especially with the tight end scoring. But yeah, who knows? I took a shot on. I took Worthy a little early to kind of try to stack him with Mahomes, and maybe they make him the kick returner there. I mean, I know they got a good one, but he's electric. He's electric. Maybe he can pull that off. And just once I got rid of the quarterbacks and tight ends, I just went kind of running back and receiver the rest of the way, hoping to make something stick.
Yeah, I liked your 2 Seattle picks back to back there in the 13th and the 14th with JSN and Charbonnet.
Yeah, I think they're they could. I mean, the team could be really bad, but I think getting rid of getting a younger offensive mind in there, I think could also help them. But the quarterback play could be really bad.
Kev, talk to us about your team number 4.
Yeah, very transparent about my team. If you took up all the names and find the team that Kevin drafted, I think it's very apparent which one I did. Except maybe the Bijan thing would throw people off. But look, I don't see why he should have been running back 4 here. So look, I'm not above taking Bijan where he fell here at 2.9. As in this scoring, you only need to start 1 running back. I only plan on rostering 3 or 4 at absolute max on my actual Scott Fishbowl team. And then a bunch of receivers, and then some with rushing upside. Tank Dell and Jaden Reed both had over 10 rushing attempts last season. So anything that you can get from that, I'm totally down for. Brock Bowers.
He will be rushing the ball as well sometime this year. Okay.
Yeah. And Brock Bowers, also a big bet on rookie talent, can be the second target in Las Vegas. He will definitely attest to that, being the Brock Bowers guy. Here, Tajay Spears, kickoff return. Plus, I do think he's just better than Tony Pollard. So if he can wrestle away that Titans RB1 job, maybe he scales back some of the returning, but I think he'll make up for it with just volume and efficiency. And then, just some bets. Josh Downs, also a returner for the Colts. Isaiah Likely, Daniel Bellinger starting tight ends. Michael Penix, who we talked about earlier. Possibly if Kirk Cousins does not is either hurt or whatever, it's an upside bet.
Nice. I like it. All right, Joey, you are up with team 6.
Yeah, I at quarterback, I got Stroud and Daniels. I'm super happy with that. Now, they both have the same bye week, so I did have to go and grab Stafford in the 8th round. Looking at my build, though, I now wish I would not have taken Stroud and I would have taken Lamb or Hill and just rolled with Daniels and Stafford, because I'm probably only going to take 2 quarterbacks in this year's Scott Fishbowl. My one rule of Scott Fishbowl this year is going to be to grab 2 of my top 5 tight ends. Now, Bob made sure that didn't happen, but I did get number 4 in Dalton Kincaid. And then if one of the rookie tight ends is going to break out this year, which I don't think is going to happen, if it does happen, it's going to be the Senator. with Ben Sinnott and Washington. And I've got a loaded wide receiver room with not Antonio Brown, AJ Brown. Oh, thank God I don't have Antonio Brown on my team. AJ Brown kicks, not a lot, but he does return some. Dave Flowers, Ladd McConkey, Calvin Ridley, Brian Thomas Jr., who might be my favorite rookie wide receiver this year. I think he's got that wide receiver 2 role locked up there in Jacksonville once the season starts, even though Evan Ingram might be the true second option as far as targets. And we mentioned Demarcus Robinson. I absolutely love him. Running backs, I'm going to not have a lot, kind of like Kevin. Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss, and my third running back is probably going to be, and this will be the only league I draft him in this year, Dameon Pierce. I think he's going to return a lot of the kicks for Houston this year. Yep. I think that's kind of what he is. That Florida used him that way. So if I wouldn't have taken a kicker out, I'd probably taken Dameon Pierce there. That's my team. I love it.
Yeah. Love that. Love that Ladd McConkey pick too. If we haven't said that enough. Erica, you have got the 9th team. Break it down for us. How do you like your squad?
I don't. So this is literally maybe my second mock so far. I went wide receiver heavy because the 9th spot is not a good spot to get any, high end running quarterbacks or anything. So I started out my draft with Chase and Jefferson, which, in a redraft would be fantastic, but maybe not in this format would be the best. But then I pair that with Gibbs, and then I got Herbert and Goff in the later rounds. So I'm pretty happy with those later round QBs. Other than that, I waited a long time on tight ends, and I ended up getting Musgrave and Jonnu, which I'm not that happy about. So maybe for the actual SFB, I'll change my draft strategy a bit and try and go tight end heavy near the top instead of waiting for those late round tight ends.
So are you in the 9th spot?
Oh, I am in the 9th spot.
All right. So just, it's good that we do these things.
Yeah, it's good practice.
Exactly. Bob.
I will be drafting from the 10th spot in Dallas at the Community Beer Company. I will be sipping a non-alcoholic fruity thing that they gave me last year.
Not in the same draft, thank God.
So I will be this is probably my intended plan. I would have taken a quarterback. I should have taken Jaden Daniels. My plan going in was to take a quarterback in that 3rd round reversal, which is why I made a big old thing about it. But and I probably would have come back and gotten another tight end though after that, because I really am going to load up on tight ends. So everyone steel yourselves. I think some of the other picks there, the quarterbacks, I think they got nerfed enough so you can wait a little late. You're going to miss out if you miss out on the running guys. I mean, I'm looking for guys that I think are going to throw some touchdowns. I think Bo Nix is an interesting kind of late round firewall quarterback. I think he's going to be the starter, maybe be better than we expect there in Denver. So I like all that, but I'm also going to be leveraging the return players, and Joey is right. Dameon Pierce is one that I'm going to be in on, and Jonnu Smith, and I want to apologize to Kimberly because I should have kept my mouth shut so she could have grabbed him. But I think if somebody's going to use a tight end in creative ways, I'm going to guess it's Mike McDaniels, because hell, he dresses in creative ways. Let alone calling plays in creative ways. So I think there's a lot to like there. Taysom Hill getting usage in multiple ways. Apparently, Clint Kubiak is going to do all kinds of craziness with him. I'm super excited about that. So, and some of my other tight ends down the line, Tyler Conklin, I think might be a totally overlooked commodity in these drafts. And had I got Jonnu Smith, this might have been the perfect draft.
I love it. I love your draft, guys. So we have an extra special guest here who just joined us. Mr. Scott Fish, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well as Joey shakes his head and Bob talks about his perfect draft. I think it was perfect, Bob.
It was slightly less than perfect because I missed out on Jonnu Smith.
On my screen, Joey is the Alice. Is that how it is on your guys' screen?
I'm in an interesting sandwich here between Bob and Scott.
It's like the Brady Bunch, man. This is amazing.
Yeah, right now, big time. Scott, I'm so sorry. I had my phone turned off. I didn't see your message in time. I'm so glad you could make it to hang out with us a little bit tonight.
No, it's all good. I shot Joey a message too, but he said no. I think he's either that or he didn't respond. Yes.
No, I
Oh
said
my
I
goodness.
blocked this number 2 years ago. Why do you keep texting me?
Oh my goodness.
Every time he blocks my number, I get a new phone. So just to stay in touch with Joey.
Oh my goodness. Scott, tell everybody how they can get involved with like Fantasy Cares and everything, because that was one thing that I have on my list to talk about yet. But since you're here, I think
Yes.
you're probably the best guy to talk about that.
Yeah. Fantasy Cares is an accredited 501c3 charity. It's does a ton of good. We buy a ton of toys every year for Toys for Tots. We help a lot of charities. The best way to get involved is to PayPal at the Joey Wright. That's what I'm.
Yes. Love you, Scott Fish. I don't know why I always said all those mean things.
That's actually not it. FantasyCares.org is where all that is. Yeah, I feel like I'm coming on for the mock is done. You're about to exit out, and I just show up now. I feel bad about that.
No, that's as I said. My bad for not looking at my phone and getting that sooner. I feel terrible.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. So there's
a lot of people doing these mock drafts. This is such a great, way to kind of get a little bit of an edge, in the draft. This is a lot of fun. I'm so glad for everybody who participated. This is great. We're gonna do a couple more of these before the live draft starts. Scott, when does the first draft happen?
I believe it is 13 days, 14 days, something like that. Yeah, it's June 28th, I think, in Las Vegas. June 27th, something like that. I'll be there. I should know when my flight leaves, but yeah, it's about 2 weeks away at this point. It's getting way too close.
Amazing. Well, so we have another one planned on the 27th. So I'm glad I picked that day. If the 28th is when we're going to have the first draft out, so that'll be a good time. Scott, where can everybody go to find merchandise? Scott,
I got my shirts
not already wearing it.
I just got the email. My shirts are on the way.
They come quick too. They
do. It's really fast this year. It's
really
2 days
fast
shipping.
delivery. It's so much better quality too. I was not a fan of last year's, but it's much better this year on basically every front. Shop fantasycares.com, fantasycares.org/shop, scottfishbowl.com/shop. They all work. What'd you get, Bob? What shirt did you get?
I got the Potathon shirt, and I think I got the Jurassic Park one, and what else? I have to look.
Okay. That's good ones.
I just ordered the Godfather one.
Okay.
I like that one, but I have another one that's like really similar to that. That's not football related. So
I do too. I have the SFB one, and I have the Commissioner one that looks exactly the same. So, yeah, it works. You going to FSGA, Bob?
I'm still thinking. I mean, it seems we'll see how the schedule looks.
You should come in a day early.
I just found out the radio schedule, so I don't know if I'm like that's public yet, so I can't say anything. But I'm getting clarity on what all is going to be happening.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think it's public. But
it's not public.
No.
So I need to not say that because I'd like to keep that job.
Scott, how do you come up with the rules and scoring every year?
So I have this giant dartboard on the side of my house.
All right.
just got to figure it out from there. No, I don't know. Every year, sometimes it's to get people talking about something that's being talked about. Like the year everybody was talking about our sacks, a quarterback stat or an offensive line stat, or this year with the new kick returns. Like sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's merely to balance scoring. Sometimes it's thematic. Like the video game year, I made tons of bonuses, everything like lots of points. So. It varies from year to year, honestly, what I decide to do. But yeah, this year we ran into a little snag, and I made something work, and we'll see how it goes. It sounds like some of I know Jeff Ratcliffe thinks it's very possible a kick returner comes out the number one scoring player this year, which he's not wrong. There is a chance of that, but it's going to be interesting.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, guys, again, thank you to everybody who joined the draft tonight. All those of you who are drafting with us off camera. I want to thank Adam, Bob, Joey. You guys, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. Guys, make sure to give all of our guests a follow. Adam is over at Adam_Krautwurst. You can find Joey at the Joey Wright. And Bob is over at Football Diehard. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Like I said, we're going to be doing more of these. Also, Fantasy and Frames has mock drafts that I think everybody can participate in as well that they're putting out. So if you want to know about those, you got to hit that like and subscribe button. And make sure to go to fantasycares.org. I put that in the chat as well. And go get yourself some merch. Scott, thanks again so much for hanging out with us tonight and coming out.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I love this time of year because you get to visit with Scott Fish all the time.
I know. I randomly jump on shows. It's enjoyable for me.
It's my favorite thing. Yes.
Joey is so sick of me. I literally
read the text. Can I read it, Scott?
Yeah.
He said, "You are so sick of me." And one thing about Scott Fish that like a lot of people don't talk about it, Scott Fish does not lie. So
I'm very honest about how sick of me people are.
Oh, I don't believe that. That's just Joey for sure.
I love Scott. Everyone does that.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, again, have a great night, everybody. We will be back here next Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern. We're doing another draft for you guys. Have a great night. We'll see you then.